What would possess a nice Jewish girl from New England to go on a 14-day water fast? I'm Abby Havermann, host of the Intuition Incubator and the Monday Muse. In this Monday Muse series, I will share what was revealed to me by fasting, not just from food, but from all my vices for 2 weeks. What I learned about myself and maybe even what I learned about life. Thanks for coming along. Here we go. What would be possible if you let go of who you think you are? One of the things that I wanted to accomplish in this fast was distancing myself from all of the pressure that I put on myself around who I think I am and who I think I need to be. When we're asked who we are, like someone meets you and says, "Oh, who are you?" or what are you about? We typically answer with what we do, right? Not who we are, but what we do for our work. And for me, what I did for my work has always been very top of mind. It's where I got my personal value, my worthiness. It's how I define myself. And, I talk about this in my TED Talk when I talk about women's worth fluctuates like the stock market. If you have a good day, your stocks are up, you feel good. And if you have a bad day, you screwed something up, you lost the client, you had an argument, you did something wrong, then your self-worth is down. And self-worth is fluctuating daily that way. It's a very untenable way to live, to only feel as worthy as whatever you accomplished that day or did well that day. And God forbid you make a mistake, then your worthiness is in the tank. And I lived my life for a lot of years that way. Sleepwalking, sophisticated sleepwalking. You wouldn't know it. If you had told me I was doing it, I would tell you I was not doing it. And I looked very good. I didn't look like I was doing that. It was very sophisticated, but I was sleepwalking nonetheless. And that part of me, of course, still lives inside of me. It's much quieter than it used to be, but it gets kicked off. And I think the latest evolution of it is that I get frozen around taking action and creating and having a clear sense of what I want to put out there and what I want to say, because I'm afraid it's not going to be, and again, this is somewhat unconscious, right? I just know that I feel stuck. But I think what's behind it is that I feel afraid but what if it's not good? Or what if it's not good enough? And of course, next to that is all of these things. Well, somebody else will do it better and I don't need to do it. And all the things that the mind says. And so I really wanted to get past. I wanted to spend 3 weeks, where I was not working. I was not creating. I didn't have, the shot in the arm that you get when you meet with your clients and it feels really good. And you watch people have breakthroughs and you're able to witness what they did as a result of your union with them. And that makes you feel good, right? Like when we create something in the world or something goes well at work or well at home, we're kind of like, I'm pretty awesome, right? And so I stripped myself of that egoic shot in the arm. Anything that was followers, right? Like, this many followers or comments or blah, blah, blah. All the things that unconsciously or consciously feed our egos all the time and say, no, I'm okay. And, or I got this speaking gig, or I didn't get that one. And so I deprived myself of that. I didn't work at all for 3 weeks on anything or with anyone. And I had to evaluate who am I and have a felt sense of myself. And it was really interesting because a few years ago, I did a Vipassana retreat, which is a 10-day silent meditative retreat. You don't eat much there either. You eat in the morning, you stop eating by 11, and then you get like a snack at like 5 in the evening if you're a beginner, which I was. And all you do is meditate all day. They take your phone when you arrive. You're not allowed to have anything. You can't even have a journal. You just have a private room that has a bed and a bathroom and a meditation closet, and that is it. You're not allowed to talk to anyone else there. You're not even allowed to look at anybody else there. Your eyes are focused down the entire time. You are doing nothing but meditating and eating at 2 specific times, and that's it. No exercising. And I did that for the same reason that I did this, right? This relentless emergence that I'm on to try to wake myself up from the sophisticated sleepwalking that I'm in, that we all are in, and emerge and see who I am. However, I failed miserably. And of course, I would say that it's exactly as it had to be. There was no other way it could be because that was where I was at that time. But what I did was I obsessed the entire time. I started writing a book in my head. I started feeling argumentative about the type of meditation we were doing because I did Dr. Joe's meditation and I already knew this and what I knew and everything I learned I was comparing to what I already knew, and I was trying to put it in a language that I understood. Like my mind was doing all of this work to avoid being open and just being with what is. And I got incredibly angry during that time, during the entire time. And I remember thinking that I remember saying that the story of my Vipassana retreat is I went, I got angry, I left. There was no transformation. There was nothing else happening. And I remember having the feeling because I always used to be, because I have this part of me that it really wants to relentlessly emerge. I used to have this part of me that was sort of judgmental of people who just want to stay asleep all the time. And I remember being in the middle of that retreat and thinking to myself, you know what? If this is what it takes to take another step toward becoming a teeny bit more enlightened, because we'll never be enlightened. That's not happening for us humans here on Earth, but just evolving myself a little more. If this is what it takes, I'm good. Forget it. I am not willing to do this. And I completely understood in a moment why some people just are not interested in seeing more than the physical things that are right in front of us, or knowing more about ourselves or facing our emotions anymore, because it was that difficult. And I was always aware since that time that I really missed that opportunity to find that deeper sense of myself. So when I went into this fast, I was very, very certain, like, that is not what I'm going to do. That is the number one intent that I had, to really labor to not let my mind run away with, 10 things I learned from a water fast, even though I'm kind of doing that right now. In a sense, it took me a very long time to get here. I really felt very uninspired, and I didn't feel pressured at all to be inspired until I got inspired naturally to start doing my Monday Muses again. But I knew that I would be, or I could be, very subject, like, I'm going to write a book about it in day 1 and day 2 and day 3, and I'm going to post about it. I'm going to all these things, and it was all about like my career, who I thought I am, where my worth came from. Would this be the one thing that would be the big hit? Right? And one of the things that really landed for me once again in this fast in a way that, again, I can say I intellectually know, but that I wanted to land, and it did land, was this sense that we're all here for different reasons. And I am not here to be whoever Taylor Swift is here to be, or whoever, or, Buddha, or whoever, right? Like whoever I compare myself to or think I should be, or because I know I have certain gifts, and my mind will say, well, you have these gifts, you should do this and you should do that. And as we all have our gifts, but we don't have to act them out. I don't have to do anything. That's not who I am, and it doesn't determine my worth. And a lot of what I did during this fast was I sat outside on my deck with the trees. There's some trees outside around the pool, and I sat there and I really zoomed into those trees. And I thought about, that tree does not care. It's not concerned with how many followers it has. It doesn't think it looks fat. It's not that guy is just chilling there. Every morning I got up at sunrise and he was there, he or she. And then when I went outside at night to look at the moon for a few minutes, there were the trees just chilling. And the gift it was to really sit with that stillness and experience it. Just, even if my mind would want to lend meaning to it, just sitting with and watching the breeze and feeling the breeze and noticing. And I would go on these walks And I noticed trees on these walks that I never in a million years have ever noticed, nor would I ever notice. But it was like, holy cow, that thing is gigantic, and it's so cool and craggled, and it's got all these amazing branches, and like this sense of wonder that you have. I don't even remember ever having it, but I think we all have it as a kid. And I would walk out of the house for a walk. My husband would be like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I told you, I'm going on a walk. That's what I just said." But he's confused because I don't have earbuds in my ear, and I don't have my phone, and I don't have a podcast running, and I'm not shading my head from the sun and all these things. I'm just going on a walk. I just literally walked out the front door and went for a walk without any preparation, right? So that was something that really landed for me. So having the opportunity to say, well, who am I without all of this junk? And am I enough? Am I enough just if I don't do anything? And I know intellectually that I am, and I even say this and I teach this. Not everybody believes that, by the way. I do. But having that felt sense of it was a tremendous, tremendous experience. There is a tremendous amount of proving that goes on. And I think if any one of us sat back and really thought about all the things that you say in a day, all the things that you do in a day, all the things that you think in a day, the ways that you defend yourself, the ways that you show up, so much of it has to do with proving our value or our worth, which, yes, has a place in our evolution, for sure. We had to be able to prove that we were important, that we mattered, or we'd just be cast out of a tribe. And if you're cast out of a tribe, then you die, because the whole tribe survives because it's together. So we had a place in evolution for that. It just doesn't have a place anymore because we don't live that same way anymore. But the amount of time and energy and behaviors that are driven by trying to prove ourselves is astronomical. And not having to do anything for 3 weeks except for sit, in fact, have that being the mandate, like rest as much as you can, do as little as you can, was really an eye-opening experience. And so as we go into this next week, you might ask yourself, what would it be like if you weren't trying to prove anything to anyone? What would it be like if you let go of who you think you are, or who you think you should be, or who you think you need to be, or how you showed up wasn't good enough? What would that feel like just for a moment to let go of that? I'd love to hear if you have an experience that you'd like to share. Please drop it in the comments or shoot me an email. Thanks for joining, and I will see you next week.